A great example of what's been going on at Georgia over the last 4 years is Devonte Wyatt, and Devonte's journey through Georgia is a great example that what Kirby Smart and that group are doing is working. And the reason I bring this up is because of what's been going on this week at the Senior Bowl in Birmingham, Mobile. Yeah, the Senior Bowl. And I was reading something today from Todd McShay, who had this to say about Devonte Wyatt. Some defensive linemen are all hands, some are all about quickness and speed, but Wyatt ties his feet and hands together so well. His feet are always moving, and he's working on blockers with his upper body strength. He was already in the first round conversation coming into the Senior Bowl, but he put a stamp on that this week. I think him going in the first round would be unbelievable progress for a guy who um, would have been at best a late round draft pick last year, fourth, fifth, sixth round, seventh round, probably the last couple of rounds. And Devonte is a great example of what Georgia has been through and where they're going and what they can produce. I'm going to talk about Devonte a lot. Make sure you're getting DAWGSTRUCTION. It's right down there below. Uh, it looks good. I'm going to tell you that right now. You can see that from all of our posts on Facebook and Twitter. If you're not following us on there, you're missing out on a lot of dog posts. So make sure you're getting DAWGSTRUCTIon, hardcover, full color remembrance of Georgia's 2021 national championship. Make sure to click it and check it out right now. It's a great book. Very good value for everybody watching. I watched Devonte Wyatt play football going into the 2017 or 18 season. Now I'm going to have to look it up. But when Devonte um, was at Towers High School in Decatur, he was a raw guy that had such great side to side speed that it was obvious this guy, yeah, he's raw for sure. And that's a high school that's not going to send out developed talent. But when Devonte got done with that game, he was playing at Meadow Creek, I remember. And he also ran track. I mean, he was a heck of a specimen back then. Probably shouldn't talk about people like that, but um, he was a heck of a player, and the body was all there. But then he got sidetracked. He had to go to junior college, which was not an ideal situation, needless to say. Um, but he got past that too and wound up at Georgia, and it didn't take a long time for him to get to where he wanted to go. It took him about, I would say, 2 years. So these past 2 years for sure, Devonte was starting to show up in a way that it looked like he could back in the day. I saw him play on August 5th, 2016 against Meadow Creek. So that's how long ago it was. And so that's coming on 5 years ago. And he could just throw his hands and like he was very good side to side. And that's when I knew I was like, this guy's legit. But he had to get, the raw nature of Devonte at the time showed me he's got development to go. He's got all of the tools to be a really good defensive lineman for Georgia. And I thought in a way he would be one of their better ones because of his ability to run. And man, if you go back and look at images, and for DAWGSTRUCTION, I looked through about 50,000 or so pictures. It might have been more than that from the 2021 season to get them in there. And like, there's just ones that jump out about Devonte along the way. Like he nearly blocked a punt against Georgia Tech, just sort of randomly, or he was outshadowed. He was outshined, out talked about. Really, is the best way to put it by guys like Jordan Davis, who had captured the attention and not the attention, captured the imagination of national writers, of David Hale and guys like that, Mark Schlabach. they had really grown fascinated with what Jordan could do. And when you have a shiny object like Jordan, you forget about Devonte. Trayvon Walker doesn't get as much publicity. This isn't about publicity though. I mean, Devonte Wyatt, if you saw him coming out of Georgia and you just watched Georgia play a lot of games, Devonte was trouble for the other team. So he gets there in 2018. So 18, 19, 20, 21, his final season. I think the big thing for Devonte was coming back, coming into the 2021 season. And him and Jordan Davis, having that talk about who was going to come back and, all this stuff, that turned out to be an extremely pivotal moment, not just for Georgia, but for Devonte as well. He only had 18 solo tackles, but that was the second most of actually that was the most of any down lineman for the Dogs. I mean, Lewis had the most solo tackles in Nakobe. Let me make sure I'm getting this right, because I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, that's what I thought. Trayvon beat him by one tackle, but in terms of his ability to wreak havoc, he had 7 tackles for losses. Trayvon had 7.5. He had 2.5 tackles. Jordan had 2.5 sacks. Jordan had 2. I mean, Jordan had 5 tackles for losses. That's the one thing about this Georgia team. Yeah, a lot of penetration from the defense that's going to be gone this season. Nakobe, 10.5 tackles for loss. Quay Walker, 5.5. Channing Tingle, 7.5. Nolan's coming back. He had 9. Dan Jackson's coming back. He had 2. But Devonte in many ways was forgotten about. Not this week, not at the Senior Bowl, and I think that's the thing about his situation. Um, he has manufactured himself into the position for being a top 50 guy. And when Todd McShay, who people love to hate and love to hate on or whatever, when he says that Wyatt is one of his top 4 performers for the week, that's telling you something. And this is what he says too. He says, if you knew nothing before and dropped into Mobile, those are the guys who would have stood out as the top guys. Yeah, but Devonte wasn't talked about that much coming into this thing, even coming into the Senior Bowl. I'm telling y'all, he's the kind of guy that Georgia has developed. He didn't stand out in 2019. I don't know that he flashed a lot at that moment. When he got there in 18, he wasn't playing a ton. That's why I'm telling y'all, you need to pay attention to not necessarily. I mean, Stackhouse has definitely made a name for himself, but to me, the guy to watch the most out for in terms of impact is Zion Logue coming into 2022. He's a big guy, really long. He's getting in there making plays now. He's not made a lot of plays, but for Zion, I'm trying to see how many tackles he had in this season. He had 11 total tackles, but he's the guy with a sack. He's the guy that you're going to want to watch. 3 quarterback hurries. Warren Brinson is another guy that they just got so many pieces to the puzzle. Zion played in every single game. Could he have the same trajectory as Devonte did? He's not the same type of physical freak that Devonte has been. Okay, he's not side to side. But when you watch Zion Logue play in high school and ever since, he has such length. I mean, that Tennessee missed out on him, or whoever else you want to say. I mean, that's the type of guy that you can play him for 3 or 4 years, and he's going to give you reps. He's going to give you the ability to jam the middle up. He's going to give you the ability to win games. They don't grow guys like that on tree. There's not normal. Devonte Wyatt, Zion Logue, obviously Jordan Davis, and Zion's not going to be what Jordan Davis was. He's not got that type of size. He's got size. He doesn't have the extra 50 pounds that Jordan has. I mean, Logue is at 6'5", about 300 now. The weights are often incorrect, but to, you know, I just I thought I think that Devonte's journey at Georgia is a great example of the type of development Georgia has the capability to do with these guys, whether they're big men or Dan Jackson, or um, I mean, to Warren McClendon, I think, has been developed in a big way at Georgia. Now, he came on and played a lot, don't get me wrong, but he is extremely dependable at right tackle. It's just a good example. I wanted to talk to y'all about it. Make sure you're picking Dogstruction up down below. We'll see you over on the website.